Picture this, a man who has everything the world says you should want. He's wealthy, respected, admired. He has power, influence, and people sing his praises wherever he goes. On the outside, his life looks untouchable. But then, one single hidden desire takes root. A glance, a fantasy, a temptation that he tells himself is harmless. And in a moment of weakness, everything begins to unravel. His empire crumbles, his relationships shatter. His legacy is destroyed not by an enemy's sword, but by the quiet fire of unchecked lust. This isn't just a story from the Bible. It's the story of countless men and women across history, and maybe even today in your own life. Because here's the shocking truth. What looks like love can actually be lust in disguise. Lust takes, love gives, lust consumes, love sacrifices, lust burns hot and dies quickly. Love endures and builds for eternity. The difference seems simple, but when you're in the middle of desire, it's almost impossible to see clearly. Lust whispers, "This will satisfy you," but once you give in, it leaves you emptier than before. Love, on the other hand, says, "This will cost you," but when you choose it, it leaves you fuller than you ever imagined. So here's the question we're going to wrestle with. Why does lust destroy while love builds? The Bible never downplays the power of desire. In fact, it treats lust as one of the most dangerous forces a person can face. Jesus himself said, "Anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." Think about that. According to Christ, lust doesn't just live in what you do. It lives in who you are becoming inside. And here's the trap. Lust disguises itself as love. It convinces you that your feelings are pure, that your desires are natural, that your passion means it must be right. But if you dig deeper, you realize lust is always about self. It's about what you can get, what you can feel, what you can take. Love, by contrast, is always about the other person. It asks, how can I serve? How can I give? How can I protect? Throughout Scripture, we see men who seemed invincible, destroyed by this one trap. Kings, warriors, prophets, brought down not by armies, but by their own desires. And if it could happen to them, it can happen to us. That's why this isn't just another lesson about morality. This is about survival. Because lust doesn't just ruin your relationships, it ruins your soul. It blinds your judgment, twists your choices, and can even destroy the calling God placed on your life. So as we dive into this series, I want you to keep this question at the front of your mind. What if the greatest enemy of your future isn't out there in the world, but in the hidden desires of your own heart? Because when you understand the difference between lust and love, you'll see why one destroys and the other builds. The difference between lust and love. Lust is selfish, consuming, and fleeting. It takes without giving, burns bright, and fades fast. Love, however, is patient, selfless, and eternal. As 1 Corinthians 13 reminds us, it protects, trusts, hopes, and perseveres. Lust focuses on what it can get. Love focuses on what it can give. Look at Jesus. He didn't take, he gave. He sacrificed himself for the broken, forgave the undeserving, and loved even when it cost him everything. That's the standard of true love. Lust destroys. Love builds. Understanding this difference is the key to choosing what lasts over what only tempts. The real dangers when desire governs life. Lust clouds judgment, destroying marriages, friendships, and even nations. It masquerades as pleasure but leaves a trail of addiction, broken families, and spiritual death. From David and Bathsheba to Samson and Delilah, Scripture reveals the devastating consequences of unchecked desire. Today it shows up in pornography, casual hookups, and using others for selfish gain. Science now confirms what the Bible warned centuries ago. Indulgence in fleeting desire rewires the brain, damages relationships, and empties the soul. Lust promises satisfaction but delivers emptiness. Only choosing God's way of love protects hearts, restores relationships, and builds a life that lasts. A final warning and invitation. Lust promises pleasure but delivers destruction. It whispers, "This will satisfy you," yet leaves emptiness, broken relationships, and regret in its wake. Love, by contrast, requires discipline, patience, and sacrifice, but it produces life, peace, and lasting joy. While lust burns hot and dies quickly, love endures, builds, and transforms. The choice is yours every day. One leads to ruin, the other to fulfillment. The Bible calls us to choose wisely, to follow the path of love that reflects Christ. So ask yourself this final question: will you live for lust or for love?